Well, hindsight is a wonderful thing, eh? Let's begin. Now, of course, yeah, I don't know about you, but I myself quite like Nigel Farage. I mean, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have had Brexit at all, would we? And also, we wouldn't have got rid of one of the worst, in my opinion, Prime Ministers, which was Theresa May. In fact, I'm sure many have said that Nigel Farage himself is one of the best Prime Ministers that Britain never had. But you know, of course, to become a Prime Minister, you must first become an MP, a Member of Parliament, which Nigel Farage announced that he wasn't going to be doing this time. However, according to this article, that might not have been the case, because it does say that Farage was planning to launch an MP campaign next week until Rishi announced the election. Now, to be honest, I don't know about you, but I find that a little bit too hard to believe, because I'm sure not only has he been thinking about it for quite some time, but also, why would Rishi announcing the election made such a big difference? Well, apparently, according to this, Nigel appeared on GB News as a guest, which coincidentally was during his typical show slot on Thursday, and he said, "I have always said that there will be a moment when throw my hat into the ring fully into British politics, and I've also said that at age 60, I've got one more card to play, and it's about when I play it." And, you know, I had to be honest with you, put in place some preparations to launch next week. I wonder whether the Conservative Party found out about that, and I think the sense of panic that we saw yesterday, the badly prepared speech, might have perhaps have prompted them a little bit. The presenter asked him to clarify that he was referring to actually launching a campaign to stand as an MP, and he confirmed by saying, yes, absolutely. But he admitted that the Prime Minister had wrong-footed him by calling an election for July the 4th. He said, "What I could not do in the space of 6 weeks was to find a constituency from scratch and go around the country. There's just one problem with that, Nigel. Surely, as I said, you've been thinking about this for quite some time, so wouldn't you already picked a constituency in your head? Or perhaps have one or two that you've been mulling over? Then in which case you surely, when Rishi announced the election, you'd have said, right, I choose this one now, let's go." Instead, of course, we got a note, didn't we, saying they will, of course, help with the campaign, which honestly we're really grateful for, Nigel. But also, presumably, what to do is a little bit for American politics, and therefore I'm guessing that becoming an MP, that might have been a bit harder for him to do, I'm guessing. I mean, admittedly, I could be wrong, but it does seem at the minute that he kind of is realising that people would have actually hoped that he would become an MP and basically putting his money where his mouth is. But of course you've got to realise, haven't you, that if for whatever reason this time he didn't become an MP, that would have been, unfortunately, in every election he has stood for, surely, and therefore presumably would have bruised him a little bit more than what he was in 2015, I think it was. And also thinking about it, if he was preparing to announce his campaign to become an MP next week, then why wait till next week? What's so special about it? Why not announce it previously if that's what you were preparing to do, especially thinking about it after the local elections? Because, if I remember rightly, the Conservatives didn't really do too well then, eh? And therefore, I'm guessing Nigel actually putting his money where his mouth is and saying something like, "I'm going to put myself forward to become an MP whenever the election is," might have boosted Reform's polling even more than the will he, won't he scenario that he's been doing for quite some time, it seems. Maybe, who knows, he might have even got a bit of flack from people who supported him when he put out the letter saying that he isn't going to become an MP after all. And maybe, just maybe, he's hoping to keep them on side by saying, well, you know, I was going to do it, but whether he was or not, only he knows, eh? He even said here that he'd not decided which constituency he'd run in as of yet, as there was a variety of options which he felt he could go for. But of course, despite not running as a candidate, Mr Farage said he would campaign for Reform UK and stressed his support for party leader Richard Tice, and he told GB News, "Am I going to be campaigning? Yes, I am backing Richard Tice, 100%. I am utterly committed to reform, and I believe their agenda is the only one that can actually stop the sense of national decline that we're in." Well, that's really good to hear that he is going to be helping out. However, I myself do think that if Nigel had put himself forward to become an MP, this time, he might have actually achieved it. Because the Conservatives are basically weak as anything at the moment, aren't they? And Reform's popularity is just growing and growing and growing, isn't it? Well, that's how it appears anyway. So I think, if anything, Nigel, you kind of just shot yourself in the foot, haven't you? But, you know, of course, it does make me wonder, when will that one time be when he will actually throw his hat into the ring and then campaign to become an MP once again? Because he does say there is one more chance. Well, who knows? We'll just have to wait and see, won't we?